Hello, everybody. This is Patrick Jordan. Welcome to Alone Together.
It's Friday. Welcome to Alone Together Pittsburgh. I was muted because what the hell? It's episode 136. You think I'd figure out how to turn that thing off? It's like every single I'm that guy in every single Zoom call you've been on. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. I was muted. I don't know why, but anyway, here we are. Thanks for joining us. This is I'm not the fierce kitty. I think that was an earlier comment from Tara. Tara, that it was the cat at your request from last night. So anyway, welcome to Alone Together Pittsburgh. It is Friday. Not that that matters, but here we are. This is episode 136. Dave, what episode? Is this?
135.
Episode 135. We're in week 44.
Yeah.
Week 44 of Alone Together Pittsburgh. We are here. We've been streaming at you live since early March when the original shelter in place order came down from the state. We've been doing it ever since. We've been wanting to keep a sense of community going in our area and let people know what everybody else is up to, what they're doing while they're having to stay at home. Couple of things here to get us started. Ticking below me is our Venmo. It is at TogetherPGH. It supports the artists involved in the show tonight, so we would greatly appreciate it if you could kick in a couple of bucks. It'll go right to the artists involved in the show. It could be $1, $3, $5, doesn't matter. It could be $100. If you give $500, you get to be a guest on the show because that's how we do it. You can call it payola. I just call it magic. Okay, so that's there for you. There's a lot going on in the world, and we got some fantastic guests for you coming in tonight. Maroney Rae, photojournalist, who has been on our show a couple of times, talking about what was going on in Portland and Rochester. She was at the Insurrection 2 Wednesdays ago on the 6th at the Capitol. She's got some harrowing, amazing photos and videos that we're going to share with you. We're going to hear her firsthand account of what went down. From her perspective, we also have Betty Cruz is going to be Natalie Bencivenga's guest on 5 Minutes With. Really looking forward to that. And then we have the amazing Dave Bracey, who's going to brew with us tonight. He's going to talk brews. He's going to brew himself. He's going to local brews. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff from Dave Bracey. So the show is lit. But we wouldn't be doing the show if it wasn't for the pandemic that we're living through, that with the news of the day, we kind of forget sometimes. But I check in every night with the Allegheny County COVID numbers because, we're Alone Together Pittsburgh, and that's where we fall. So we're trending in the right direction. I say cautiously optimistically. We are under 500 again. We dropped earlier in the week. We were in the 900s, 800s, 800s. Then we were right around 5. Then we were at 499 yesterday. Today we're at 420. So, keep up the good work. We're still, when we were at like 98, I was like, we got to keep this under 100, folks. So we're not there yet, but it's trending in the right direction. So I ask you, please wear your masks if you go out of the house. Put your mask on, lock it up, keep washing your hands, keep social distancing. Bruce Springsteen would agree with me.
Put on a fucking mask.
That's right. The boss totally agrees with me. So if you like Bruce Springsteen, you like wearing a mask. Okay, I'm sure there's a Springsteen mask out there with some merch. You can find it. That's not so much a mask, but I thank you for embarrassing me again, Dave Mansueto. So that's the deal. I mean, like I said, the show is lit for you tonight. If there's nothing else, Dave, Pete, am I missing anything? Good call. Good call. I like it. See, he was muted too. We ended our overnight polls last week. Our Engine House 25 Winery Jag-Off poll ended last week, and the winner of them all for the 10-month poll was the cookie table. So check that out, and check out our sponsor of that, our polls. Even though we're not doing a poll tonight, we're going to plug our sponsor of them. Engine House 25, you go to eh25.com, you can find out the wide selection of wines that they have there. And if you tell them that you found out about them from Alone Together Pittsburgh, you receive $5 off per bottle. They are doing free delivery during the pandemic, and they're doing free shipping in the 412. So all those things are in the 412. So the shipping, like not so much shipping, free delivery in the pandemic, and they're doing curbside. $5 off per bottle. Use our name, and they'll take care of you. The wine is fantastic. All right, so moving along, like I said, the show is juiced with awesomeness tonight, so I want to get right to it. So we're going to bring out Maranie in a second, but before we do, there's a video of hers that she put out on her flying into DC on Tuesday night that I think might set the tone for where we're headed. I mean, everyone knows what happened here, and you no doubt seen Maranie's photos come across your screen at some point. So over the last week. So, Dave, why don't we just roll that that flight in where you kind of sense something was coming up? And I warn you guys, there's some language on it. So if there's kids with you, you know, put the earbuds in.
Just stand up and let us see who you are. Let's see who you are. We're done with your fucking shit.
What the hell up?
Trumpers.
Biden
is a pedophile.
He threatened all of us. He's a pedophile. He just threatened all of us. Thank you.
Stand up, piece of shit. We want to see what you look
Flight
like.
attendant, hear his name. He just threatened all of us.
He just threatened to fucking kill us.
He just threatened all of us.
Stand up, boy. Stand up.
Picture.
Let us see what a fucking bitch looks like.
Wait. There's young people here. That's no example. I'm here for the same reason you are.
These are the guys we came to fucking wipe out.
No, that's not how
I'm talking to you in the aisle. Have a seat, please. Now.
We had someone make a threat against us.
Man. And that was the night before. You kind of sense it coming. So without further ado, I want to bring out, she's an amazing photographer and journalist. Welcome her back to the show. Maranie Rae, coming to us from Portland, Oregon. Mary, thanks for being with us again. I know you're super busy right now and in pretty high demand.
Oh, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So that was your flight in on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I flew from Portland to DC, so that was Fort Worth to Dallas connection flight.
I guess you were just either lucky or unlucky to be on the flight when that kind of was breaking out there. Just listening to what they were saying, I mean, it's just it was the kind of the temperature was to a boil even before the speeches on Wednesday, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a 3-hour layover, and I spent most of that time kind of just at the gate listening to those individuals. There was maybe 4 or 5 of us on the plane that weren't very clearly going to the rally in support of Donald Trump. Most everyone was decked out in, red, white, and blue, and shirts that either said showed their support for the president or QAnon or the like, and the group was predominantly anti-maskers. They didn't wear their masks at the gate, and I guess there was a decision with the airlines not to enforce that at the gate, but they were told they wouldn't be allowed to board unless they put their masks on. And that video was at the very end of the flight. I posted it on Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter user, but it's got a lot of attention, kind of for obvious reasons. It's pretty.
Yeah, I know TMZ picked it up, and it was in the tens of thousands of views. It was up there. So I mean, maybe more than that actually. I saw it early. I'm sure it's gone since.
It just like, I think it's at 1 million, which is crazy to say.
That's what I mean. Like it was like that in 5 minutes. It was at 55,000.
Right.
So like right when you posted it's when I saw it. It was already like fire. So it's in the millions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you were at the airport. I mean, basically anti-maskers drive me crazy. Obviously, if anybody watches the show, I start every show begging people to wear masks. But so conversationally, QAnon puzzles me. You know what I mean? I just from what I'm hearing about the things that they're believing in. What was like being a fly on the wall, kind of listening to what was going on there, where everybody's head was at?
Yeah, it was pretty much everything that I've experienced in small doses and or read about, but I listened for several hours, and it was like the main points were the election was rigged, so stop the steal was a big theme, as was like the pandemic is not real and or being exaggerated. Like a lot of talk about Dr. Fauci. People at this point have started to turn on Pence and kind of call him a traitor because the president's rhetoric was that that there was Mike Pence has power to kind of overturn things. Yeah, just a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, just even on the plane there, you hear them screaming about Biden being a pedophile, and these are the MFers that we're going to wipe out.
Yeah, I'm increasingly just careful about how I talk about things because
Understood.
Not everyone that is a supporter of Donald Trump is a QAnon conspiracist, nor are they militant, nor do they hold militant ideologies. So, but some do, and that's kind of what we saw at the U.S. Capitol building.
So let's talk a little bit about that on the U.S. Capitol building. We have some pictures here that we might run
Sure.
while we're talking here. So, I mean, obviously some of these things were there. So, were you at where the rally was with the speeches before they moved to the Capitol? Okay, so what was the temperature like when the speeches were going on?
Yeah, so it was everyone there very clearly loves or adores and supports the president. So you had everything from these guys who are in military garb to people that were just wearing flags and or pro Donald Trump shirts or QAnon shirts. You had young kids there. You had families. You had people like this. That is what his hand signal is.
White power.
Has come to be known as white power. And those are, by definition, they're white supremacists, just by definition. For those who don't know who Kyle Rittenhouse is, he Kenosha, right? Kenosha,
Wisconsin.
Killed 2 protesters and
Shot another one in the arm.
Yeah, exactly. You had people selling some pretty tasteless, would probably be an accurate way of putting it, tasteless garb. But the general temperature, so to speak, was people were just gathering to show support for the president.
So it was like a typical rally.
Yeah, it was high energy. And when the speakers got up on stage and did their thing, the crowd went wild. At that point, I knew it was well known that there would be a second gathering. But as we've all now heard reported, the president told his supporters to go to the Capitol. And he promised to be there with him. And, we would be showing some support for some lawmakers, but not support for others, and that you can't win if you show weakness. And by now, we all know that, President Trump has been impeached for the second time. He's been, and the charge is for inciting this and failing to do anything to prevent it or to stop it while it was in process. So around 1 p.m., well, a little bit before 1 p.m., a large group of people, thousands of people started making their way to the Capitol building. And here, you're seeing him, Andrew Cuomo being compared to a doctor at Auschwitz.
Right. And then you've got, so when they march down there, you walk with them documenting these things. And then once they get to the Capitol, I mean, how long was it before the kind of lid blew off?
Well, almost immediately you start to see the people in the front kind of, honestly, it appeared like they were kind of testing the waters. It's, again, now widely reported that the law enforcement was grossly inadequately prepared for anything along these lines. So almost immediately people started to push on the barriers and to go up against police officers. Now, the Capitol's huge, so I was I covered a fair amount of area, but I was in an area where people were pushing against barriers. And then, as you've seen in some pictures, people started to rappel up the side of the walls because the stairs there was a scaffolding, and then there's also stairs, but people weren't moving fast enough for those who wanted to get in, and so some started to climb up the walls. And you can see here that that there was clashes between protesters and Capitol Police and Metro Police.
And I mean, at what point? I mean, at any point? I mean, you've been all over the world shooting stuff in crazy situations. You were, you know, you were shot in the knee with a rubber bullet in Portland not long ago. You were shot with other things in Rochester following other demonstrations during this crazy year and beyond. I mean, obviously you're kind of go in with no fear here, but I mean, did you ever feel like that you were in an absolute amount of danger at some point when this was happening?
So no, not in real time. When in these situations, it's I'm just very focused on documenting what's happening as well as I possibly can, while, you know, mitigating any potential harm. The two primary risks in the situation were the possibility for a stampede,
Right?
just because there was so many people in such a small area, and the energy, like you can see here, people are pumped up. It was they were jubilant and excited, and part of me thinks that like they didn't actually expect to be able to do what they did. So there was this mounting energy, and then when they clashed, and when protesters clashed with the police, it was just mayhem.
And we have a quick video of an almost a stampede moment that you captured as well here, that Dave's going to fire up here in a second, where Dave, one where you can see the kind of the police going through the crowd, and the push turns to shove.
America first! America first! America first! America
All right, so not quite that one. There's another one that we can get to again, but that one there, Maroney.
Yeah, I can comment on that.
Please
So, I think pretty sure the death count is it's 6 by the end, as a result of what occurred throughout the day. They're saying there two officers have died, and then so that man was one of what they're calling medical complications. I don't actually know what happened to him exactly. One person someone tased themselves. And 2 people had, I believe, heart attacks. So that was one of many people taken out. And what was unfortunate about the situation is because it wasn't, you know, a planned event. I was there as they were screaming like, the ambulance can't come up, the ambulance can't come up. So they were carrying him out of the crowd, but they proceeded to carry him all the way down this long walkway, trying to get this man to an ambulance.
Right, and I saw like police officers were involved in that as well. Yeah. So another thing that I noticed through the pictures, through the slideshow here was a lot of religious like insignia. I saw crucifixes. I saw crucifixes on flags. I saw a lot of rosary beads. I saw a lot of you know, people with a statue. I'm not sure what it was, religious statues, and talking about, you know, and comparing these things. I mean, did you? I mean, can you speak to that at all? It was just a weird kind of conflicting of ideals.
Yeah. Again, something I'm careful to talk about, but it's something that I've like increasingly been wanting to talk about. It's been like a conflation of religion and what I kind of just refer to as Trumpism, and people almost explaining their support for the president because of their religious beliefs. And I'm looking for the quote I have right here. So this blurring of like proverbial lines was deemed, and I quote, an unholy amalgamation of white supremacy and Christianity. by the head of the Public Religion Research Institute. So some of what you saw was, so that was the baby Jesus of Prague. I did do some research myself. People were praying for Donald Trump, and some people were actually praying almost to Donald Trump as though he was a Christ-like figure himself. That was some of the more alarming things I saw. Again, I don't throw all Christians or all people of faith into this, but some of what I've observed is almost the weaponization of religion, or the manipulation of religion, kind of to fit
a narrative,
political, narrative or political aims. And that's just my observation. But I've had enough conversations with friends who call themselves strong Christians, strong people of faith, that say, you know, this doesn't represent me and this doesn't represent my religion. This is a perversion of what Christianity is.
And we have, wow, yeah, and I agree with that. And when we have a video of a loyalist attempting some form of prayer video that you took while everyone else around her is, I think, after something else. We're gonna run that video, Dave.
Give us our protective angels, Lord. Bring protective angels across this country, Lord Jesus. Please bring this country together, Lord. Please let them hear our cries for our country, Lord Jesus. Let them hear our cry for our country, God. Let them hear our country's cry, Lord Jesus. I pray, God, Lord Jesus, that they hear our cries, God. I pray that this country comes together as one, Lord Jesus. I rebuke the evil.
I mean, that sums stuff up in a little bit of a nutshell. It's so harrowing. I mean, yeah, you got a good eye for this stuff, but it's just look at these pictures. I mean, the stuff's happening all around you. Now there was a bang that went off at one point during that. I'm not sure what that was. And was this before or after? I mean, when this was all happening, were you aware that they had breached the Capitol building, or was this before that had happened?
No, so it was breached. Yes, I was aware. I did not know how many people had actually gotten inside, because I was only seeing one angle, one entranceway.
Right.
Where I was, and I should know the directions, but I can't remember. But I do have a photo that shows they were able to drape an enormous American flag outside of the balcony, and so you commented on the noise. The police, they used a little bit of tear gas, but what those are called are like shock bangs. They're just very, very, very loud, and they're, supposed to be a deterrent. They're one of many like crowd dispersal tools, if you want to call them.
And you saw those in full force in Portland and Rochester and different things. I mean, the comparison just, to the naked eye, it just seems kind of night and day to the images that we saw that were happening in Portland. I know that the numbers were different and the locations were different, but and how did they know that there was the flag was going to fit that exact spot?
Okay, I'll work backwards. But
okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just saw that image and I'm like, wait a minute. All right, go ahead. Work backwards.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but that's exact. I am very far from a conspiracy theorist as a journalist, but I posed the question, where the heck do you find a flag that big? And how do you prepare for something that is, unplanned? And if you can see there, that is also the building and it's also the scaffolding. So it's not even like someone knew the measurements of just the building. It covers almost perfectly the building and the scaffolding. So I don't know. Some people say they also, if you even think about like how big that would be if it was still folded up. I didn't see anybody carry it up, but that doesn't mean it didn't get carried up. But then some people said it could also have been for the inauguration, but it's, why would that be readily accessible weeks in advance? I don't have an answer to that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go down a conspiracy theory.
It's a good
road here.
It's a good question. put it this way, it's not. I would personally love to know the answer. So because I'm sure there is one. To your
go ahead.
No, to your previous point though, because I think it is really important. The significance of what happened at the Capitol building can't be understated. But what is also important to acknowledge is, for those who I guess didn't hear me speak before, I've been covering protests since they kicked off at the end of May, and the amount of tear gas and pepper spray and what they call less lethal weapons, which are pepper bullets or rubber bullets or a bunch of other projectiles that have been directed at protesters as well as members of the press. This was nothing. This was nothing as far as force shown by law enforcement against. I'm just going to put everybody on even though they aren't in my mind, but everybody on a level playing field. Protesters and law enforcement. There was very, very little resistance or preparedness on the side of law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's things going out that I'm sure are going to come out in the coming weeks, depending on how this impeachment trial goes with the Senate. But just from what I'm seeing headlines and stuff, there's a lot of information that's coming out that people knew where they were going once they were inside, and there was definitely a planned insurgency for this from certain people, not everybody. Like I said, like you can see, just from your pictures in the crowd, that you've got, just your regular MAGA Trump fans, and then you've got people with, some form of training and going after things in a certain way.
Yeah, and even if, right. I will let those doing that investigation come to that conclusion. But what we have seen and what there is already evidence of is individual officers being complicit and or aiding protesters, either giving them directions to, Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's office, and or taking selfies with protesters, or the fact that, everyone was allowed to walk out of the building. And, I wasn't the first person to pose this question, but it bears repeating, both with the plane video as well as everything that happened to the Capitol. I would love you and just like anyone who's watching, imagine if the people on the plane or the protesters were Black. Imagine if they were yelling everything that was being yelled on the plane. Imagine if they were yelling in Arabic or pretty much anything other than English. Imagine, honestly, if the protesters were anything other than white. Absolutely. I don't think it's a reach to say that we would have seen a very different response, because I've seen it. It's so have a lot of people here. I
don't think anyone could say it with a straight face, and could say that that's not the first thing that kind of comes to your mind. And the difference, trying to overthrow an election versus marching for any form of equality, I feel like it's a non-starter. But for whatever reason, you just hit the nail on the head for it. Absolutely, yeah. Race definitely has. This is the first thing when I was watching this thing unfold live from my living room. I wasn't obviously there like you were, but but I gotta say, Maranie, thanks for putting yourself in this. And I know you get other stuff. I mean, there's other people out there now. The press hasn't really been loved, usually from the police side of things in Portland and Rochester. I mean, just from what I've seen, that. You weren't really accepted well from these insurrectionists and some terrorists that were at this event. But we have a video of you just happened to be standing by some people, I think, from the Washington Post.
Yeah. The video you're about to see is I was filming these individuals verbally harassing some other reporters, and then they turn their attention to me.
Yeah, Dave, if you can throw to that one, that'd be cool.
You're proud of all of the stuff.
Does your mom know you're a commie? Does your dad know you're a commie?
Are you proud? Are you proud? I will get right in your face. I do not care.
You already are.
Yeah, and I will get right here. I'm not going to do anything bad, but you need...
We are not Antifa. We have self-respect.
No, we are not Antifa. But these people are communists who come to our country and try and burn this shit down.
Let's go. Fucking German. All of them. Commies.
Commies.
Pravda. Rodents. Pravda. Run and hide. Propaganda.
Too stupid to realize the truth.
Fucking rodents, all of you.
Seriously, I came
Liars.
from Yugoslavia. You guys have no clue what you guys put in paper today.
Vermin.
You guys spew garbage.
I wouldn't
Exactly
wipe
what
my
people
ass
used
with
to
your
do
shitty
the
little
press.
tabloid.
You guys are doing in this country.
I don't work for the Post.
That badge, shut up your ass.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, you're a badass, Maranie. Let me just get that out of the way right now. Like, I mean, just for being able to sit there and not, not engage or whatever. But you're a badass just for putting yourself in these situations. So before I even forget, thank you so much for everything that you do and have been doing in that respect. But yeah, I mean, and that's just one that you happen to be rolling film on.
Yeah, I'd love to comment on it. Just
please do.
This is over the summer, I was arrested while doing my job while wearing a press vest, and I've been, with no exaggeration, like beat up, thrown to the ground by police. But journalists now have an entirely new consideration, and it is the alt-right. It is people that. Listen, the press has, the president has called the press the real enemy of the people, the true enemy of the people, and the fake news media is responsible for everything that is wrong, essentially. So the press is everyone's grouped together as this single entity. Myself as an independent journalist is the same as the Washington Post, is the same as, that's problematic to begin with. But it is this demonization that has made us targets. So whereas with normally, wearing a press vest or press credentials would historically, and even in theory with the police, it would provide you with some level of protection. It is now almost like putting a bullseye. No pun intended, because these individuals are those that are carrying assault rifles in open carry states. And so, earlier today, I'm on a call with friends. We're all trying to figure out how to get ballistic vests and ballistic helmets. And what level, whether we need just for handguns or whether we need for rifles. Because on Sunday, again, something the president is complicit with and is encouraging is people to assemble in DC, but also at every state capital. So I'll be in Salem, Oregon on Sunday, decked out like I'm going to a literal war zone to cover, a United States capital. And I don't think that I don't think the significance or the magnitude that the press, the free press, something that is a pillar of a healthy democracy, has, like, the trust in that has been eroded. What is truth has been perverted over the course of the past 4 years, and we are now in danger just for doing our jobs.
Yeah, and we're all at danger, because of that, because you're not able to do your jobs. Yeah, it's a scary time right now. Also, that a lot of these people, I've seen mashups and everything, that a free and fair election is trying to be overturned right now, and they're being the misinformation of being fed that this was rigged and there has been no concession is just further fueling these out and out conspiracy theories of what's going on. to try to turn this over. And one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, just because you've been there, just comparing these things to a lot of people are like, well, yeah, sure, we took over the Capitol building and killed a bunch of people, but Portland, look at Portland, or look at these Black Lives Matter protests or stuff. This is what I'm hearing coming from supporters of what's happening in this. I mean, you've been to both now. Like, can you speak to any of the glaring differences that we haven't already touched on?
Yeah, I just don't even, I think that's a false equivalency. I think they're completely different conversations. I mean, I don't want to burn up a ton of more of your time, but sure. Even the protests in Portland, in my mind, there's a lack of nuance. There's a lack of real dialogue right now in this country, but there's also a lack of nuance to certain conversations, protests being one of them. So in Portland, just for those listening, like, you will have, especially this summer, you had people that protested all day that were like peaceful, nonviolent, and then you had different groups that came out in the night. And these are the ones that got all the attention, who lit dumpsters on fire, or who broke windows, or essentially caused property damage. And that was always what was widely reported. Having been out there pretty much every night, what was never reported as well was the fact that the police came in. I can't stress enough the amount of disproportional force, physical violence, and chemical weaponry. By definition, tear gas is a chemical weapon that was used. And so I'm not defending the protesters. I am kind of criticizing what I don't see as a lack of comprehensive reporting. People asking for a more equitable society, their tactics aside, is not the same as any group of people trying to overtake, I mean, it was an insurrection, overtake our own government. I'm being very careful not to like defend. I'm trying not to like defend, but it's just what is it? It's like apple. They're not apples and oranges clearly, but it's not
bowling balls.
Exactly. It's an important conversation to be had. To all of these are important conversations, because if you literally make your decisions off of headlines from one news source, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. So I encourage people to talk to others. I'm just seeing a question.
Yeah, it's a question from I think Pete in the booth. Basically, Portland being similar to Pennsylvania with lots of militias. How do you even navigate travel across the Red Seas, possibly hostile areas to blue communities?
It's a good question, but I've not had issue necessarily living in Portland. First of all, I've only lived here for a little while. But you're right about the comparison, because you have Pittsburgh and Philly, and then you have rural Pennsylvania. I don't know how to say it other than I just show up and I mean, I do a ton of research in general. I'm not cavalier about how I navigate anything. And there are folks here, I'm very fortunate to have met a community of journalists who have, it's like apples and lawn furniture. That's great. I have people that have worked here specifically for a longer period of time that I reach out to, and that we travel together. I mean, the reality is, I think all of us are being forced to learn as we go. So.
Well, I mean, you're getting lots of love in the comment section. If only the Republican Congress, Senate had your spine and courage, bless your heart. Journey to reveal the truth. Thank you for the work that you do across the board here. It's been it's wonderful. And Maranie, I could talk to you all night. We do have to wrap here now, but please maybe come back. I don't know if you're gonna what's gonna happen at the inauguration next week, if you're gonna make that travel or not. But we would love to have you back to talk for another segment down the road here, anytime that you're available.
That sounds great. I really appreciate you having me on.
Sure thing. Maroney, tell everybody your website and your Venmo, anything else that people can help out with.
Well, you are, mainly because of the spelling, my name's Maranie, but everything is Maranie Rae. And on my website, if you're interested, I do a newsletter, send it out like twice a month. And then if you guys want to support, I'm on Patreon and Venmo. I'm still not really comfortable with pushing all of that.
Yeah, don't. But I mean, I'll push it for you. Give this woman your dollars. Kick in here. She is doing the work here. I mean, if you just looking at these images, check out her website. There's so much stuff from stuff happening around, and I would definitely sign up for that newsletter.
It's free. Just so you know, it's free.
The newsletter is free. Yeah, thank you so much. And please support Maranie. And Pete says your images are beautiful. The website's really great catalog of images too. And yeah, you can get lost in your Instagram and your website just to see just your entire body of work. Maranie, I can't say enough things for you. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and please stay safe and keep doing it. And we'd love to have you back anytime you're available.
Sounds great. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Maranie. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on right now, and people like Maranie are basically the truth tellers, and she's right down the middle on this stuff. There's no side here. It's just clear. But that said, I'm going to keep things rolling along here. It is time for your Friday night 5 Minutes With segment with Natalie Bencivenga. So let's roll to that right now.
Hey everybody, I'm Natalie Bencivenga and welcome to 5 Minutes With. This week I am so honored to have the wonderful Betty Cruz with me today. She is the CEO and president of the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh. Thank you so much, Betty, for joining me.
Thanks for having me here, Natalie. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. And in fact, it's really thrilling because I had interviewed for your summit earlier this year, several voices that are connected to the organization, but I really was hoping that I would get to actually talk to you at some point. So this is awesome. So for people that may not be aware, can you share a little bit about what the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh is and what they do?
Yeah, so the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh, we've actually been around for 90 years. This year is our 90th. Which is terrific. And so a long history centered in global education. So really thinking about how we bring global education opportunities both to the classroom, so primarily working in high schools, as well as to the community through our public programming.
So when you're talking about global education programming, what does that mean? What does that entail?
Yeah, so with young people, it means that we're working side by side with them, especially starting in 2020, working side by side with them to expose them, connect them to global education opportunities so that they understand the bigger world outside of them. So they understand what the UN Sustainable Development Goals are and what their place is in this bigger world beyond Pittsburgh. So they understand that the actions that they take and the history that they're learning about in schools is relevant on a global scale. So climate change, racial justice, all of these issues are not just happening maybe outside of their neighborhood, they're happening within the community that they're a part of, which is part of this bigger world, and how they can take direct action. And then on the flip side, working with adults, because we need to be involved in taking action too. Really, in this last year, it's been reflecting a lot on how we're making sure that with the broader community, we're having conversations where we're learning about the world and thinking about tangible actions that we can take and how we're better coming together in community to understand what the world around us. So we want to make sure that these aren't just academic exercises, that we're not just reflecting on what's happening in Iran right now or what's happening in Nigeria with SARS or what have you, but that we actually think about how does this interconnect to local issues, to national issues, to my own position in space and where I might have some influence and can do something with this knowledge.
No, and I think that's incredible. And I really appreciated what you were talking about bringing the youth into the conversations and making it relevant to them, to the point that you've now merged with Global Minds and they've become a program within your organization. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, so excited, so excited. We just announced the merger. It's been almost a year in the making. So soon after I stepped into my role, Peyton Klein, who founded Global Minds, which is a for youth by youth organization, approached us because she started Global Minds when she was 15. She was then last year a high school senior and needed to find a home to this amazing organization that she built that was really authentically centered in youth leadership and forging friendships between high school students from different backgrounds, again, so that they can come together and be exposed in ways that they might not organically be exposed to, even within the school setting, and then do work together and really move towards action, because we already know, especially in the last few years, we've seen loud and clear that young people are already leaders. Yeah. And at the World Affairs Council, we've had a youth education program for 50 years. Last year, we acknowledged 50 years of that program. So we've been doing youth voice, and really as we started these conversations, and honestly as a team thinking how we could be more intentional as well, we started to partner more and more with Global Minds and looked at ways to amplify youth leadership so that they're building, again, the curriculum for themselves and taking those direct steps themselves. So yeah, it's the start of a lot of even more exciting opportunities to come. And there's a lot of good work to follow. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, when we're talking about that good work, the word that has really been resonating with me lately is the idea of relevancy. And so in the climate that we're in right now, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of turmoil around us. How does your organization sort of fit into that larger narrative? And how do you stay relevant being based in Pittsburgh in this moment?
Yeah. So we started our strategic planning process last year, and we're going to be rolling that out publicly in about a month. And it has centered on how the council wants to be and needs to be more accessible and representative of our community. So to make sure that we're walking the walk there, we had high school students in a strategy committee that we formed. We had community leaders who are immigrants, who are Black Americans, who represent different identities at the table, telling us what they want to see from us. So what we learned has been transformative in redefining who we have been for the past 90 years and who we want to be in the next 90. And who we want to be is absolutely relevant, forward-thinking. We want to be building more globally minded community members from, intergenerational at every age, as well as making sure our world is more globally connected. And this topic of relevance was at the forefront from when I interviewed for the position almost a year ago. I've been in the role now. And to our conversations throughout. So to be relevant means to understand that you don't have a globally minded community. You are not connecting folks in the ways that we want, and really understanding the world if we're not also anti-racist, for example. If we're not just having a conversation that feels maybe polite and warm and fuzzy for the moment, but what is it actually doing? How is it not just a one and done? So being relevant means, to me at least, and to our community and our board and where we're going, is that we're thinking about how we're moving action and moving forward, not just this static moment in time.
I appreciate that. And as we wrap up this 5 minutes with, and I wish we had longer because I know I could talk to you forever, but as we wrap this up, I just wanted to get your thoughts and reflections on being in the state of the world that we're in with the amount of turmoil that we're seeing. What are your hopes for this country moving forward as it pertains to the work that you do?
Wow, you're going to end with that easy question. God, my hopes is that that speaking with you, a journalist, my hope would be that we can come together and have conversations based on facts, that with an openness to the possibility of being wrong, the possibility of maybe redefining how you how you think about the world, how you think about what you know, being willing to be challenged. I think we have so much to learn from one another, and I truly am, a hopeful optimist at the core. At the end of the day, although I can get very frustrated, rightfully so, I think with a lot of what we're seeing, but I think there is more that unites us and divides us. I think that there is more that we can work, towards and get further faster when we're working together. So I think that we need to just get past this blockage that won't allow us to even have conversations. And at the same time, we need to change the way that we're responding to hate. And we need to take seriously the acts of oppression that have long been happening against Black and Brown communities in our country. So we must never again see a Confederate flag on our US Capitol. We must never again see some of what we've seen, not just last year, but for many years, and not just last week. And in order to do that, that takes an honest, informed, educated, nonpartisan. This isn't about party. So doing the right thing doesn't have to be and shouldn't be about party. It should be about doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you so much and the work that you're doing with the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh to help do your part to create that world in which we can have better conversations that are constructive in a way that we can all move forward that betters the many and not just the few. So thank you so much, Betty, for spending 5 minutes with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, unbelievable. I mean, fantastic as always, but talk about knocking the cover off the ball with that last question. Betty Cruz just stepped up and basically just sent it out of the park, man. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great interview. Thank you so much for bringing her on the show.
Oh, thank you, as always, for the opportunity to be able to share voices. And I thought it was a nice bookend to the conversation that you were just having.
It was perfect. I was watching. I was like, wow, it tied in beautifully with the theme here tonight. But
yeah, because it's going to take, I think, all of us in all of the ways in which we move in the world for these things to shift. It takes photojournalists, it takes journalists, it takes organizers and community leaders, but it takes just everybody, no matter what you do or how you live your life or what party you subscribe to. We all have to make a concerted effort to come together and hold people accountable.
Yeah. Thanks for ending it with that.
Yes. Without accountability, there is no unity. So it was just an interesting conversation. And I thought it was really cool that they've merged with Global Minds, which is a youth-led organization. And I think it really shows the direction that Betty wants to take the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh, which I just thought was very forward-thinking.
That's so great. And Maranie wanted to talk to Betty.
But
she came on, didn't realize she had pre-taped the thing. She was
know.
like, oh, is Betty here? Is Betty here? Yeah, because
I know. I felt bad. I was like, oh, next time I'm sure Betty would be happy to come back.
Maybe we should hype up like a live 5 minutes with.
That would be cool.
Maybe we should see what happens there.
Yeah.
But you'll have no parameters. It'll just be loose. I'm sorry.
We can handle it.
Yeah, I went long with Maranie too. There was just so many questions about that day.
Brilliant. Yeah. I enjoyed that so much. I really appreciate it. I know so many incredible photojournalists that went down to DC that were experiencing what she saw. And it's just really heartening to see that there are people willing to report the truth, even when they know how the reaction will be. And I would have been really scared with those guys in my face like that, especially not wearing masks and just by myself like that. I give her a lot of credit.
Yeah,
for
we have other videos. We had other videos. I mean, if we would have showed all the clips and stuff, we'd have been here till midnight.
Right.
But there was like just a sea of bodies just getting pushed around. And then I'm glad she didn't try to get into the Capitol building once it was breached. Agreed. But one last thing before we roll here. Do you know that mirror behind you?
I just realized I have like this halo, but I feel like it suits me.
I guess it does. I totally just took a picture. I just did a screen grab here. That's probably my first screen grab in the history of the show. I was like, I might not get this thing lined up again. So I can already see myself doing some Photoshop work too.
Come on.
That's great. Well, Natalie, thanks so much. I'm sorry we don't have more time to talk here right now because I blabbed too long with Maranie.
That's okay. Can I just quickly plug my advice column?
Oh yeah, I was going to, but yes.
Well, no, because I had such a good question this week, and it was about what do you do if your family member is being pulled into sort of the QAnon theories? And so I did a bunch of research before I answered it because there's a lot of schools of thought on it. So I'll be curious what people think.
Well. Give us a taste.
Okay, so
there's just dangle that carrot.
Well, I really was taking you seriously when you said you had to wrap up because I don't want to overstep.
No, I do, but like all of a sudden, I just want to hear what you said. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people online were saying that you should just cut them off. And I was also reading about why that's so dangerous, because part of the reason that these theories are taking hold to begin with is because of the isolation that people are experiencing. So in my opinion, do not cut off a friend or a family member that's knee deep in conspiracy theories, but set ground rules and boundaries of the conversations you're going to have when you're together, but keep pulling them back into the reality and offer to switch articles with them. I was reading about how this is actually pretty effective because you're sort of meeting them halfway and agreeing to look at what they have if they'll look at what you have. And a lot of times you can start some kind of dialogue. It's a cult. It's intense.
A cult. Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a cult. And so people, we've been dealing with cults for a long time, but this is different. But so
and murder is off the table, Donna.
Yes, it is. But you can get at Natalie at her advice column. What's the email address to get at you?
Yes, asknatalieadvice@gmail.com. I answer everything anonymously, so your secrets are safe with me.
All right, so get on it, folks. Natalie, thank you so much, and
thank you guys.
I can't wait to see what you're coming up with for this. It's going to be a totally different week on Friday. It's going to be there's going to be so many it's going to be a different vibe, I think.
I agree. We'll find out.
We'll find out. I'm too.
Let's not jinx it.
I'm too superstitious to say anything else. But thank you so much for another fantastic 5 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you so much. Before we bring out our next guest, I want to give one more shout out to another sponsor of ours, and that would be Farm to Table. So if you go to farmtotablepa.com is the website, you can find out all things about buying fresh and buying local. I mean, you can find links to different websites like the marketplace at Emerald Valley, where you can get like a hub of like locally grown, locally sourced produce, meat, dairy, everything you can imagine, and delivered to your door during this pandemic here. So check that out. There's CSAs. You can also find out where farmers markets are, and that's what's up. Dave adores farmers markets. Dave, are you going to the farmers market tomorrow?
Oh, you bet, Patrick. I got my best bells and shoes. I got my outfit. I got my farmer's market outfit. I got a cool mask. I'm gonna look real cool.
What's your mask?
Like a mask
for the
fashion
market?
show.
What's your mask for the farmers market?
Just something real basic. I got the Bagoo bag, which I've recommended to both you guys.
I bought the Bagoo bags, but when I wasn't chasing down a windmill, when did I become Ponce de Leon?
You like that?
That's good. I love the names. I got to pay attention to them more. But I love that. Okay, so what time? What are the hours? The Bloomfield Farmers Market?
It ends at 2.
Okay, so it probably starts about 8.
I'm not a morning guy. It probably starts at like 8 or 9.
I can attest to that. So anyway,
I know a place you can find out though for sure. I know.
Where's that? Show me the logo.
Skinny.
Boom, right there, folks. Farmtotablepa.com. Keep it real. Keep it local.
Are you going, Patrick?
I might go tomorrow. I might just say like let's do it. Let's get after it. I might mask up and go to the farmers market. But I might be a morning person. Who knows? But anyway, enough about that. I want to get to our next guest. We're excited. He should be totally rested because he wasn't here last week, and he is back right now. He left a void in our souls. Let's welcome him back, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Day Bracey. What's happening, Day?
What's good with y'all, man?
How are you, sir?
I'm alive. So, there's that.
Did you trim your beard since I saw you last?
Yeah, either that or it fell out of stress, man. I'm not sure. The days were a blur, but I mean, it's Yeah, it got wild over the last couple of weeks. You know, happy New Year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Happy New Year. Shit.
To the other side. I mean, I don't think we've seen each other since the Christmas episode. Was that Christmas?
Oh my God, that was Christmas. That might have been the last one. Cause no, were you here for the new? Wait, no, there was a New Year. Wait, we did. No, yeah, that was it. It was Christmas. It's been like 3 weeks.
Wow, man. I'm glad to see you alive.
Likewise, man. Likewise. I say that back to you tenfold. But what do you got there in the shot?
Well, so I
for a second there I thought Dave did a split screen, and I was like, is that a Dave's house?
Dave's sweet framing.
Oh, so
Look at
sorry.
that framing. It's art.
Just keep talking, Dave. You don't have to start talking. You don't have to start talking about the beer. We can talk about anything
my
you
game
want.
up in 21 with the directorial edits there, but yeah, this Insurrection Ale works. Given the events that recently occurred, I figured it was apropos.
Look at you,
so
doing your thing.
You know, this is a Russian Imperial Stout called Bakhtani. I don't know. I mean, it's written in Russian. Is that a Bakhtani? Is that an A? Is that? I mean, Bakhtani?
I think you're pronouncing it right. Pete,
both tone.
Pete, do you speak Russian?
It's a 9% Russian Imperial Stout. So you know, it'll make you do some wild shit if you get too much of this in your system. So you know, I suggest anyone who dabbles in this to do so lightly. But it's dark, it's roasty. Like I said, I mean, it's heavy. And it's hard to get some stouts out here these days. It's wild because I think the market is all about hazies. I went out to the local distributor or whatever, and like, you know, of the locals that were available, you know, maybe 15 to 20 locals that were available, you know, like 19 of them were hazy IPAs. It's just, and it sucks because I mean, I like things other than hazy IPA. You wouldn't think of it given my Instagram account, but there's something else out there. And this used to be a season for Imperial Stouts and dark porters and coffees and all the roastiness. But I mean, I guess you know, the market wants what it wants. So you know, but I mean, so it's nice. I actually had to go to the brewery to get this. And if you go to most breweries, they will have a stout or a porter at least. A porter is basically a stout. So every stout is a porter. Not all porters are stouts. You have to have roasted or you know, malts for this blackened malts for the stout. But I mean, you're usually able to get something at the brewery, but it's much harder to find it in the wild given the demand. So
right.
I actually stopped over there. They're over in Heidelberg, up from Carnegie, and they've been making some really solid beer here over the last couple of years, and you know, continue to do so. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I would be more prone to the stouts to the IPAs personally. So you're speaking more my language here. But what would be really funny is if Pete was drinking that, it would be Pandemic Pete having an Insurrection Ale. It would be like all these things happening at the same time. Sorry. So what else is up, Tay?
I don't know, man. The world is burning. Fuck Donald Trump, first and foremost. That shit is, I mean, it's absolutely insane that
mind-boggling.
You know, so whether folks at home know or not, I got smacked in the face with you know, like flashbangs and tear gas over the summer. You know, I carried a guy off of, you know, what looked like a battlefield. You know, because he had got hit in the ribs by a flashbang, and you know, was afraid for, you know, his well-being. He thought he was going to get arrested and go down because he had, you know, a little bit of blood on him. You know, I saw a man run over a woman on a freeway and then drive past some cops. And as I was trying to report the crime, they ignored me. And then he went on to hit 3 other people. Like I recorded it. The only reason I was able to record him hitting more people was because the cops refused to do their job. So it was surreal watching like the events, man. I mean, like there were fucking bike cops out there. Like it's not an exaggeration to say these were bike cops. They were wearing bike helmets and like, like the reflective vests, because they probably were just directing traffic.
Right.
Probably the traffic that led to the Capitol. To see the presence that was there, it was surreal. And knowing that, I don't have, I don't have a deep military background, but, it's the Capitol building. We, America is 1/3 of all of military budget, like spending on the planet. Like our military is 1/3 of the money that's spent on the entire planet. The Capitol building of the United States does not get breached, unless somebody allows that shit to get breached, or somebody comes with a crazy strapped up army. And I didn't see a crazy, well organized strapped up army outside the Capitol building. I saw a bunch of rowdy ass
they were carrying though. You know what I mean?
No, they were carrying.
Yeah,
They were not well trained. They were not well armed. We're talking about the terrorist militias versus the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Versus the Homeland Security versus the National Guard. These are multiple agencies.
Oh, you're not saying a word that's out of step. I mean, everybody's resigned or fired that head up every organization that happened there right now, because it was just a gross just negligence. How do you not? I mean, how do you not know? I mean, if you look at the picture from the Black Lives Matter march, the protest that just kind of went by the Capitol. I posted some photos on Facebook, but it was like every third step was a different row of military. You know what I mean? Like just
I mean, it was again. We saw more force here in Pittsburgh at the event that I was at, and we had our hands up the whole time.
And
none of us were
masks
armed.
on.
We had masks on. Our hands were up. None of us were armed. None of us were approaching them in a threatening manner, and there was heavy force upon us. There were guys in brown suits rolling up in armored vehicles to the event, and that was outside of Burlington Coat Factory. I just want to say that this was these were folks that were defending Burlington Coat Factory. They weren't defending the Capitol, and I don't see it as negligence. I see it as gross corruption, and to watch it and then to see afterwards, and I get it. I'm seeing they want to give the Medal of Honor to some folks, and it's all investigation for this, that, and the other. But I worry. I worry that that we're going to move on to a news cycle. I worry that Trump won't be impeached. I'm looking at the votes that happened in the House. 95% of Republicans continue to vote, to not impeach him. To get 1/3 of Republicans in the Senate to do so is a monumental task. Like, I'm skeptical.
17.
And to see, I'm weary that like people are going. There's going to be a couple of, the guy that took the selfie. They're gonna maybe fire a couple of people. But the corruption is multi-department. You're talking about, it seemed like a system check for white supremacy. It seemed as if they went up there and they went up there to the Capitol building. They go, hey, are we all in on this? And they got a resounding yes from the Secret Service, from Homeland Security, from the Pentagon, from Capitol Police, from the FBI, from every agency that was supposed to oversee the Capitol building that down there. Every last one of them said, "Yep, we're on board." And then the elected officials went back in there and said, "Yep, we're on board." So I just don't see any level, like whether if there's good guys somewhere within those organizations, they're not doing enough. And it just seems as if we're gonna have a couple of a couple of guillotine moments with some low-level individuals A lot of poor white folks are going to go to jail, and the people, the systems that allow this to happen are going to remain in place unless we are, vigilant moving forward. So, I don't know. I mean, it was a lot to absorb then, and it's still a lot to process, and will be, moving forward over the coming years. But I don't fuck Donald Trump for
yeah, man.
real.
I mean, it's not. I mean, yes, fuck Donald Trump, but like, obviously, but it's more than just him, man. And just what you just lined out there, it's deeper than him. He's not the cause. He's not the cause. He's a part of the symptom. I'm forgetting my words here because it's late in the show. But yeah, like definitely. I mean, there's something. He's not enough. He's not all that. I know they think of him as a Christ figure, but there's some deep-seated shit that goes back hundreds of years. You know what I mean? This isn't just Donald Trump. He might have just put his foot on the accelerator, but I don't want to give him all the credit for every fucked up thing that happens, because he's going to be leaving in a week. And we got a question from the Peanut Gallery. Are you going to continue to say fuck Donald Trump after he's evicted on Wednesday at noon?
That's a very good question. Maybe. I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't thought about the world post Donald Trump, because he's very much a threat right now. So I haven't thought past it. I don't even know once he's gone. Is he gone? Is he going to run? Is he going to be still a threat? I mean, because there's folks that are like, yeah, he might sell and spend some time in Russia. So who knows? As long as he's a factor, it's fuck him. And fuck all the people that uphold him. I to be honest, I see him more as a patsy.
Yeah.
Just like he was, like you said, he was a symptom. If Donald Trump, like we saw it in Obama, we knew there was going to be a white backlash. If it wasn't Trump, it was going to be somebody else. And like you said, these systems are in place. That Capitol, like they basically said, hey, Trump's leaving, but we're still here, guys. Like, they were trying to overthrow this election. They were going to try to hang Mike Pence. I mean, there's the reporting that's out right now that they were trying to kill. They were going to basically what they did in Michigan when they tried to overtake the governor and take her out and for a trial in the woods. And basically for treason. This has been going on. I mean, there was the Michigan militia back in what the 90s, you know what I mean, with the bombing there. There was Oklahoma City bombing. Like this is it. I mean, the biggest, like, white nationalism is the biggest threat to that's the biggest terrorist threat going here in the United States right now. So that's word to the Homeland Security. Like it's like that's
we'll see what happens. I mean, like things are going to change.
That's the sleeper story. And I'm like, sleeper story. Like
things are going to change. I mean,
like it's wild that we live. It's wild that we live in post 9/11 America, and we don't pay attention to Homeland Security. Like we gave up a lot. The Patriot Act was a motherfucker. We gave up a lot of civil liberties. I will get rid of the airport lately, but that shit is not fun, right? And that's all theater. But we gave up a lot of conveniences because of 9/11. And then when the organization that came about as a result of that shit said, hey, this is the biggest threat going on, we ignored it for a decade. It's and then people go, well, how were we to know? How were we?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So shout out to Homeland Security for at least doing their job and putting the information out there. It's up to America to fucking read it, I guess.
Well, let's see. Let's see what happens when you get different people heading up these departments, and let's see if they talk and transpire. There was 4 years of basically nobody kind of looking and everybody kind of asleep at the wheel, and there was no communication between all these things. I don't know if there's going to be a trial that everything's going to come out in the wash of what transpired a week and 2 days ago. But I mean, that was some shit that I haven't felt like since 9/11. Like watching that.
9/11 was surely some bullshit, but insurrection was an inside job, and and that's something that I'm probably going to be pulling my hair out in some kind of like psych ward, talking to my grandkids, like, insurrection was an inside job.
Dude, that's what I'm saying right now. I'm like, fuck, right? Like that's what I was watching it happen, and I was like, they just pulled the vice president off the what's going on? And then like 20 minutes later, there was like a dude hitting a vape pen in the chair. You know what I mean? Like, like just the manager from Kogo's was just like kicking back, pulling his vape pen. I was like, shit, what is going on here? And is everybody still alive? Because like what came out like 2 days after the fact was some terrifying shit. What was going on there? So anyway,
like I watched a lot of those videos, like throughout the day, and just seeing on the grounds the videos that were coming out the day of, but then to see so much of it, like afterwards, I didn't. It's somebody said it. It's one of those events that gets worse the longer we're separated from it. It like I didn't think I had the propensity to be shocked. But like I was. These are blue lives matter like folks that I'm watching here. Like these are the guys that like this is why we stand, and all the respect our troops, and like all of that shit. And like somebody posted today on Twitter was like one of the quotes that came from the officers was like, I was getting beaten in the head with a Blue Lives Matter flag. Like the fucking irony, right? And it just goes to show you that they don't give a fuck about Blue Lives Matter. They give a fuck about blue lives protecting their lives. They're like making sure that they're arresting the right people. Again, it's all very thinly veiled white supremacy or whatever. And then whenever you break rank to that white supremacy, you are not only going to be subject to murder because an officer died. You're not only going to be subjected to murder, but there's a likelihood that the people who are responsible for these acts might not come to justice. It'd be weird like to be an officer in the Capitol Police whose lives were almost lost as a result of this because there's corruption in your department that allowed this to happen, because it was allowed to happen. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, they didn't oversee it. It was allowed. It was orchestrated. It was allowed. And if I were a cop, like, do we want to give the Medal of Honor to the cop that put his life on the line to, and that's fine and dandy. But if I was that cop, I would be pissed. Fuck a Medal of Honor. Like, why was I the only one there?
And he was also it was brilliant and courageous what he did, and he did a rope-a-dope on those guys and pulled them away from they could have just walked right into the Senate floor. I mean, everybody was still in there, right? So he figured out a way to do that, sharp, whatever, but he was by himself. And if he hadn't acted and done what he did and slowed that path down, so yeah, should he get the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Sure. Should he get a bonus? Yes. You know what I mean? Should he get some kind of promotion? Sure. Give everything you can to this guy, but he shouldn't have been in that situation. Yeah.
Man. So, it's
but it was amazing what he did. But yeah, so
see the dynamics play out because they played their hand. We know that they're not Blue Lives Matter anymore. Like, we know that that's not it'll be interesting to see the arguments that come about.
Well, who's not on the no? Who's not on the no-fly list? Colin Kaepernick. Just saying, he can still fly planes. He can still get on any plane he wants. But all the insurrectionists from that, they can't, because I remember there was some veins coming out of people's neck when he just took a knee. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I go back to that, and it's just like that, coupled with the Blue Lives Matter thing and everything else that drops. You just saw it all on display right there. Plus, I don't know if you were watching early with Maranie with the pictures from being there in the videos of people with statues of Jesus basically swinging. You know what I mean? Going in. So anyway, it was a crazy, crazy time, Dave. But thanks for coming on the show tonight.
I appreciate y'all having me, man.
We missed you.
I needed to vent. It's been a while since I used to do this for a living on stage, and I would vent to people randomly. And I don't have a outlet anymore, so it's nice to be able to get that out. But
well, we missed your voice. We missed your voice last week for sure.
Yeah, I do want to say, because I have, at the beginning of this pandemic, DJs were getting me through. Now it's just like comfort food. I have been eating my ass off wherever I could find. Yeah, I mean, I definitely spent all of my stimmy on fried chicken and fish. So but it's what was needed. And I just want to say shout out to Fat Frank's Soul Food down in Bloomfield. I mean, I cannot say enough about that place, man. It is top to bottom, just the food was phenomenal. The catfish, some of the best that I've had in the city.
I saw your post.
That they have there. The greens were by far the best in Pittsburgh that I've had. And I mean, the menu is. I tried to order everything. I couldn't order everything. My stimmy wasn't enough. But I mean, I'm gonna go back there, and that just it's a black-owned business down there in Bloomfield. Right up the street from Trace Brewing, which is, again, another new establishment up there. I mean, it seems like Bloomfield is on the rise. And, if you're looking for something to support, something to kind of get through, stop down there and support the folks, man. You will not be disappointed.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I saw your posts, and I was like, damn, I have to go to this place like yesterday.
I'm just mad I live so far from it. But somebody posted it online. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm driving to Bloomfield today. I went solely for that. And then I remember that Trace Brewing was down the street. I was like, fuck it, I went down and grabbed a pack, and it was, man, it's a nice 1-2 if you're in there, man. So cool, man. Shout out to the folks. And I'm looking forward to being able to get back and actually just maybe sitting down and having a meal in Bloomfield someday,
I'm looking forward to that too, man. What, November? Anyway, man, Dave, thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing your views with us. And believe me, any night. I mean, we'll see you on Fridays, but if you're going to get something off your chest on a Wednesday or a Thursday, please just show up.
Oh man, I'll take you up on that, man. I appreciate y'all.
Man, thanks for everything, Dave. All right, say Pete, Dave, that was another installment of Local Brews with Dave Bracey. Pete, Dave, you there? We want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye, everybody.
All right, that's great. Dave, you want to show your face? Nice. All right. Well, folks, sorry we went a little long here, but I thought everybody's content was important. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap things up here tonight. This is another week in the books. We'll be back Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We got some fantastic guests. Aaron Hart from Farm to Table will cook something up for us on Wednesday. JJ Jackson likes smoking Joe's ribs in his backyard. Thursday, we'll have Kate Romaine with What Kate Ate. Natalie and Bencivenga will be another 5 minutes with, and Dave Bracey will be back on Friday, and a lot of other guests are going to be crammed in there. So please tune in. There's a lot of it's a crazy time right now. I don't know what it is, but in the meantime, keep wearing your mask, stay safe, keep washing your hands, social distancing, and if it's your first time watching, thank you for welcoming us in your home and mobile devices. Here's Sally Wiggin.
When I walk out and there's someone without a mask and they come too close to me, I'm just racked with fear, and then I want to punch them in the face.
Love that woman, and truer words were never spoken. Keep wearing your masks, keep social distancing. The world might look a little different next time you see us on Wednesday, so hope for the best and keep taking care of each other.
See you at the market.
Bloomfield Farmers Market tomorrow, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Bye, guys.
Cheers. Too serious.
Oh.
Fucking guy. This